Our intro music is provided by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and/or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice. Coming to you from some far point station, like a cosmic tumbleweed, both north and south of the Pleiades, here's your host, Michael W. Hall, the Paranormal Lawyer.
Yes, it is. This is Michael W. Hall. Welcome, everyone, to Night Dreams Talk Radio on this beautiful Saturday night out here in the Pacific Northwest. This is Pacific Standard Time. Of course, we're going to be with you from 7 to 9 p.m. tonight, Pacific Standard Time. And we are at nightdreamstalkradio.com. So I'm hoping you're going to spend the next couple hours with us as we get to some of the interesting paranormal and scientific information that we got to share with you tonight. We've given Peter Davenport, our buddy at the National UFO Reporting Center, the night off. He is well-deserved on a Saturday night, enjoying it with some of his friends in a friendly bridge game. So we didn't want to interrupt him tonight. He's enjoying that, and we will have him back next week for some UFO sighting report updates, because I understand since last week we have got some amazing things that have been happening out there, or at least reported to the National UFO Reporting Center. But in the interim, you don't have to wait for Peter to come back on next Saturday night. You can actually go to the National UFO Reporting Center website and check out the reports that have been coming in from all over the country. Orange fireballs, triangles, all sorts of interesting craft that are being spotted daylight and nighttime, as well as some strange alien sighting reports. You got to check that out at at National UFO Reporting Center. And Peter will be with us next week. We do have our friend from Pacific North Weird on the line. That's Vince Inzunza. And Vince is in an interesting location tonight. He is going to tell us about, a few things, but he is actually spending the evening tonight in a haunted hotel in Centralia, Washington. And I understand that there is a lot of strange things going on in this historic hotel. So let's try to bring Vince on right away and see what's going on. Are you there, Vince?
I'm right here, Michael. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful, buddy. Holy mackerel. So you're on the road again, like you always are, it seems like. And
I love all that.
Yeah, you do. And I love getting your texts out from the field there, about some of the things you're running across out there as you're exploring the wilderness of the wonderful and weird in Pacific Northward. But tell us what you're doing tonight.
Well, Michael, tonight I am with my girlfriend Sabrina, and we are staying at the haunted McMenamins Olympic Club in Centralia, Washington. I'm sure you're familiar with the McMenamins Company. They, take over these beautiful historic buildings throughout the Pacific Northwest, refurbish and keep them according to their former splendor, and they really just preserve history. And this is one of the oldest McMenamins establishments. It's on North Tower in Centralia, and
Vince, these guys at McMenamins are really famous for doing that, taking these old buildings. They don't even have to be old hotels. They're old buildings, and they turn them into these wonderful classic hotels. Of course, the ones that I know about and that you know about initially, I think, was the McMenamins Hotel Oregon in McMinnville, where the McMinnville UFO Festival is held every year. That's just a gorgeous place. But tell us a little bit about this McMenamins, in Centralia. What kind of a building was it that they converted into the hotel?
Well, for the longest time, so I grew up in this area. I grew up in a town called Rochester, which is fairly close to Centralia. As a child, you could say that Centralia was the big town that our parents took us to. That's where we went shopping. That's where I went, and as a little kid in the '80s, saw many first-run classic movies of that day, like the original Tim Burton Batman movie, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Dick Tracy, all those great '80s films. So, Centralia is a really special place for me. And for the longest time, there's always been the Olympic Club. I spent my 21st birthday here many years ago. Sometime 2003, 2004, they refurbished the rest of the building, which used to be a hotel, and kind of brought it back to its former glory. This particular building was instrumental in the bootlegging culture of Centralia back when Prohibition was a thing. Many of the upper floors used to belong to women of the night. There was a brothel business going on in many of the upstairs areas on North Tower in Centralia. And, McMenamins and the Olympic Club itself, they really strive to preserve that history. It's there's a lot of interesting emotions and events that happened in this building because of those historic moments.
Oh, I can imagine. And of course, if people have never been to a McMenamins renovated hotel before, it's not necessarily like the large spacious suites that you get, but they are the old oak and kind of maybe more intimate settings in these rooms. Could you possibly describe? Pretend we're on radio tonight. Could you possibly describe to us maybe the room that you're in, and kind of the surroundings of what's going on? What's the corridor like coming up to the room?
Yeah, absolutely. You walk in through the doors from the sidewalk, and you are stepping back a century. The room itself has almost zero modern-day amenities. I mean, I see a digital clock and a thank you for not smoking sign. I think those are the most modern things in this room. There's no microwave. There's no telephone. There's no bathroom. You have to go down the hall to get them, to use that. There's a sink and a mirror and some towels and a bathrobe.
This reminds me, Vince, of that classic film with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour called Somewhere in Time.
Oh, yeah.
He actually checks himself into the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island in the middle of Lake Huron in Michigan, hoping to travel back in time, will himself back in time. And I remember in the film he had to take all of the amenities of the current day off the walls, out of the room and everything, just to let the room look like it was back in the early 1900s to get the ambiance that he needed to travel back in time. So you're saying to us that tonight, if you didn't have that digital clock and that little sign is thank you for not smoking, that this could be one of those rooms that would bring you back in time just by looking at it, in other words.
I would say that, except for just as you were speaking, I saw there was also a book by Jerry Seinfeld at the bottom of the coffee table. And if we remove that book, too, then we'll be fine.
Oh, that's funny. Instead of the Gideon Bible, it's got Jerry Seinfeld. That's
where I get my spirituality. I mean, what's the deal with organized religion?
Oh, my goodness. That's great. And by the way, I remember if anybody hasn't seen that film, they got to go check it out Somewhere in Time. But the kicker on that film was that he removed everything he possibly could to remind him of the current time frame that he was in the 1980s. I think the movie was made. And ended up, he forgot a penny, a 1970-something penny that was in his vest pocket that he was wearing in the thing. And all of a sudden, when he pulled it out of his pocket, it sent him right back into the future, into the normal time frame. Oh, that's fascinating stuff. So what else does the room look like? Does it have wallpaper, or is it just paint on the walls?
Well, what's really beautiful about the Olympic Club Hotel is that each room, much like the Hotel Oregon in McMinnville, is named after a proprietor or a historic person in the community who has some sort of right to haunt this place. And the room that we are in is room number 12, and it's named after a woman named Jeannie Heyer. And she was the first long-lasting female bartender of the Olympic Club bar. And there's this wonderful painting of her on the wall right in front of me right now. And on every wall around me, there's a quote from her. I'd like to read a few of those to you.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
The one directly above her painting says, "It's a place that you say, quote, if only the walls could talk," end quote. And then one of my favorites, "I had lots of older women come in here, and they said, quote, when I was a little girl, my mother would make us cross the street and walk down the street on the other side."
So in other words, the hotel had a reputation, so you actually didn't walk by the hotel. You had to cross the street, in other words.
Oh, yeah, because it's guilt by association. You're walking by like this evil establishment that serves women and drinks. That's not what you want to be connected with at that time.
Oh, my goodness. This is great, Vince. You're painting a wonderful picture before we get to the actual hauntings here, so keep going.
Right above the bed, right across from the mirror above the sink, says, "You could see everyone in the place once you learned to use the mirrors."
Oh, my.
I don't know what that means, but it's very creepy. It makes me think like maybe there's some sort of way to traverse dimensions or see things that you normally could not see by looking into the mirrors. in this hotel.